Welcome to an episode of Today the Internet is Losing its shit over something. Today, of course, we're talking about what is headline news, and that's TikTok. My social media feed, and I'm sure yours as well, is absolutely full of TikTok creators panicking about what to do now that TikTok is being imminently banned. So let's just put the brakes on for a second, calm down, take a really deep breath, and have a look at exactly what has happened and what's likely to happen in the near future. So firstly, let's just make it really clear to all the panic mongers out there on social media, TikTok has not actually been banned. So let's just take a calmer moment and look at exactly what has happened. What the US have signed into law basically tells ByteDance, which is TikTok's parent company, that they must sell TikTok, or at least the American interests of it, within 9 months, or they could face a ban. So although this has recently been signed into law by the US president, this does not mean an immediate ban for TikTok. It's also worth noting that the new law gives ByteDance a 9-month window to sell TikTok, but also allows for a 3-month grace period after that. So at the very minimum, for any action to actually take place, we're probably looking at a minimum of a year. So now we're looking at a potential deadline sometime within mid-2025. So we can all take a breath and calm down a little bit. Let's have a look at what could actually happen over the next year. So while ByteDance have come out beating their chests a bit, saying that there's no way they will sell TikTok, that's in no way an indication that they're just going to let this time expire and then get banned. Of course they're going to come out fighting, of course they're going to come out with bold statements. At the end of the day, TikTok's US market share is valued anywhere between $20 and $100 billion. No one is going to leave that amount of money sitting on the table. It's just not going to happen. So there's 3 ways I see this playing out, and I don't think any of these scenarios are going to be that catastrophic to content creators on TikTok. Firstly, the most likely medium-term outlook is this is just going to get stuck in the courts for years. While laws are certainly a very solid instrument in society, they can and do get challenged on a constant basis in the courts. We're talking about a multi-billion dollar company here. They're not going to go down without a fight, and they can probably jam this up in the US legal system for years. And to be honest, I think that's the most likely way it's going to play out, certainly within the next 2 to 3 years. Another factor that plays in really heavily to this as well is that if this is all going to come to a head mid-2025, it's very, very probable that the US is going to have a new president by then, and it's very probable that president could be Donald Trump. Now, I don't know what Donald Trump is going to do any more than I know what the lottery numbers are this weekend, but I don't think it's inconceivable that he could just come in and swing his bulldozer and make the whole thing go away before the time elapses. And the third way I think this could play out, certainly after a couple of years of legal battles, is that ByteDance is actually forced to actually sell TikTok. I don't think this is something we're going to see in the medium term in the next couple of years, but certainly if legal challenges to this law were unsuccessful by ByteDance, as I said, they're not going to leave that amount of money on the table. They're not just going to let TikTok get banned. They will sell it. So these are just my thoughts on the issue. I'm not an economist and I'm not a lawyer. But what I do know is that content creators on TikTok today can just take a breath, stop panicking. Nothing's going to change in the immediate future. Despite all that, it's got me thinking, and you should think as well, about the community and the audience that you're growing. If your livelihood is dependent of a community of followers, then who owns those followers? If you're on YouTube and YouTube shuts down your channel tomorrow, you can be effectively out of business. I've started to dial in heavily on this concept of owning your own audience, and I think things like this recent TikTok scare really puts some perspective on just how much we've got banked with these big platforms. If you're a YouTube creator and YouTube shuts down your channel for whatever reason, you could lose your entire livelihood. Another really good recent example is many people have been making a solid living doing niche web-based content through affiliate marketing, relying 100% on traffic coming from Google to sustain their livelihoods. A recent update to the Google algorithm has literally wiped out thousands of these sites, and I've spoken to a lot of people who are literally going back into the workforce now because they've lost everything. And it all comes back to the key argument: who owns your audience? So of course we need these platforms for discoverability. We need them to build our profile and build our brand. The way YouTube works, if we create good content and that content gets popular, we can build a solid community around YouTube. And the same goes for TikTok and Instagram. But no matter how many followers you get on these platforms, they're not really your followers. You can only communicate and interact with those followers as the platform allows you to. And this is something I've been thinking about a lot lately, and the stuff going on with TikTok and Google has just got me thinking more and more about it. And this is why it's really important to plan out a strategy around your social media and your content creation. Use the tools for what they're good for discoverability and growth, but you should have an end goal of building an audience that you own. One of the best ways to do that, and I've been learning a lot about lately, is to run your own newsletter. So if you're building an audience on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, so what you should be doing is using these big platforms to grow your audience, but have an end goal of converting those viewers into newsletter signups. Then you can build your own database of users that you own with their email addresses. And then if there are seismic shifts in the social media landscape, or your channel gets cut off, or any number of other things that can happen, you've retained and owned the most valuable asset that you possibly can, which is your audience. Stay tuned and subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be coming up with a new video around newsletters and showing you exactly what you need to build out this infrastructure yourself. In the meantime, mine's recently launched. There's a link in the description. Feel free to sign up and receive regular content creator updates from me. So that's my hot take on what's going on this morning in the social media world. Until the next time.